If you're a health coach, one of the biggest hurdles you'll face in advertising online is Facebook compliance rules, especially within the weight loss industry. So today I'm going to walk you through step by step or an ad that I recently wrote. I'll show you a before and after example to walk you through what you can actually say. I'll walk you through some of the basic Facebook compliance rules to give you a better idea of what you can go out there and present to your audience, what message you should use to connect with them, but not get in trouble in terms of getting your Facebook ad shut down or getting your ads rejected along the way. So if this is the first time joining one of my lives, I'm Brian Czekanski. I help coaches crack the code on Facebook ads so they can accelerate not only their income, but also their impact but while also cutting their work hours in half. So let's walk you through. Number one, join my free opt-in, fullconfidenceads.com. Even if you haven't launched Facebook ads before, helps you kind of demystify the entire process, not only in terms of writing Facebook ad copy that is going to really connect with your audience, but how to actually set it up, how to actually manage the ads, how to do things like targeting. And especially with all the iOS changes, I've got a series of videos that walk you through step by step on how to do that. I've got a 5-step process to make sure that from day one, you are running ads that are profitable and that you are not just have a giant expense line in terms of running Facebook ads along the way. So let's jump in. Again, this is just a recent example that I did. I'll show you the ad before as written. And I'll kind of show you how with track changes, I made changes, kind of shifted around the ad language, some of the things that kind of caught my attention that I know Facebook compliance will really highlight. And we'll go from there. And along the way, you'll get a better sense of like, okay, what is that, what's Facebook compliant looking at and how can I keep myself out of trouble? Let's go right here. It's okay. So first, I'm just going to walk you through the example, and I'm going to just give you an idea. So this is just the existing ad that I was looking at, and this is the one that I'm going to revise. And I'll kind of just walk you through what it looks like. So number one, the headline: how to lose 20 pounds in 8 weeks without starving yourself. So that's a promise that Facebook is not going to allow to go out there. Again, putting a specific claim like how to lose 20 pounds, how to lose 20 pounds within a specific time period is just not something that they're going to allow for. So you have to really think about the promises that you're putting out there, especially from a weight loss perspective in terms of that. So definitely the headline you'll see is something that I revise. So putting like specific claims in terms of how many pounds they can lose within a certain amount. Like even if you took out 8 weeks and just had a specific number of pounds they're going to lose, that is going to get flagged by Facebook every single time. So really think about, especially within the weight loss space and especially within health, really think about like, okay, putting out our promises here, we kind of have to tone them down a little bit and not put those specific things out there in terms of the overall language. So let's kind of get into the text a little bit. So this is a little bit longer of a Facebook ad copy. Busy moms hate dieting, and I don't blame them. My name is Janet, and I'm the creator of the Simply Slim system. Although things are great for me now, things were once much different. I used to struggle with a muffin top just like you. So, one of the things that kind of sticks out to me is like, okay, in these first few lines, this is the soundbite that is really designed to kind of catch your audience's attention. So, in this soundbite, there is some good things that are happening. Like one of the things this ad is trying to do is really resonate and connect the business owner, in this case, Janet, with the audience. But it's trying to do it a little bit too directly. So again, Facebook doesn't like when you're trying to call out the audience. Obviously, there's targeting involved with your ad, but Facebook doesn't want you directly calling out your audience. A lot of times, I would see it in past years where you'd have a Facebook ad that said, "Attention, such and such audience," and Facebook is really getting away from that. They don't want you calling out specific people. So in this case, busy moms or all those other people struggling with muffin tops, just like you, all those kind of things. And one of the things you'll see as I revise this ad is how can I kind of bring that to life? Instead of saying something like, I used to struggle with my muffin top just like you, instead of saying that, how can I really bring that to life? And how can I give, kind of paint the picture for the audience about what Janet was really going through. So instead of telling them that I'm just like you, how can I really, show them via a story what her life was like and how she is just like you without even really having to say that. So you'll see that as I come through. And just in terms of this as well, like again, the first few lines are not meant to sell your system or to sell anything. Really, the first few lines are just to catch their attention. And after this first few lines, you'll see that see more button because it's a little bit longer of ad. So our only objective with those first few lines is to get our audience to stop their scroll, to kind of catch their attention, to really connect with them, to expand on their curiosity and hit that see more button. What we're trying to do here in these first few lines is really we're trying to do too much. We're trying to sell the Simply Slim system. We're also trying to, for Janet, tell them why she's just like them, why they hate dieting. There's just too much going on. So again, you'll see how I revise it and really keeping it really simple and really getting back to okay, you're going through this, I've been through this before, and we can potentially get you on the other side. Again, you don't have to say the things like you are not alone. Again, we're going to try and avoid any you statements around anything that's negative. Again, Facebook doesn't want you calling out the audience by saying you and then attaching any kind of negative statements around that. Obviously, there's a lot more compliance from a weight loss perspective because there is a good deal of shame and everything like negative feelings around weight loss. So you just have to be really careful in terms of what verbiage you're using, but also anytime you're mentioning anything negative, kind of removing that word you, and you'll see how I do that in kind of the revised ads. And here's how, here's how she's trying to show a little bit more instead of telling. So I remember wearing baggy clothes to hide my belly, doing endless amounts of cardio, buying all the gimmicky weight loss tools like waist trimmers, diet shakes, and fat burning pills. Within that line, one of the things that you should know is as a weight loss coach, weight loss is one of those trigger words that is always going to pop up Facebook compliance. So as much as possible, even though you're a weight loss coach, we want to avoid those words, like just the words weight loss. We want to make sure as we go through our ad that those two words aren't really in there, because anytime that's in there, you're immediately going to get some additional scrutiny from a Facebook compliance perspective. It could result in even more CPM, like a cost per 1,000 impressions. You might get a higher one for that just right off the bat by just including that word. So again, we're going to think about different words that we can use. It could be like slimming down. It could, we're just going to use different variations of words, and you'll see how I do that in the revised version. Other things like fat burning just aren't really necessary to have in there. Even things like diet are something that is going to flag the Facebook system in particular. So we just have to really be creative around what words we're using to kind of avoid some of those Facebook compliance triggers. And again, this is something that is obviously evolving week over week, day after day. So there's going to be certain words that don't flag the system today, but as people start to use them more and more, that'll go on kind of the ban list or the trigger list or things like that. And you're going to continually have to evolve the process as you go along. So that's why it's important to kind of take a look at your ads, especially as they're running. Take a look at that CPM. So like a CPM above $25 kind of tells you that, okay, maybe there's some compliance issues here. Like that's something as a weight loss coach or somebody within the health space, you should really pay attention to, because you don't want to be spending more just because your ad is on the border of being compliant or not. We want to make sure that we're getting the most bang for our advertising spend and getting the results that we're looking for. So we kind of go through that story. So, in the top here, what we're trying to do is kind of, in this advertisement, what we're trying to do is kind of really connect with the audience. And I kind of very much kept the ad in the same way, kind of connecting them exactly where they are, and then talk about that transformation. What was that one key thing that led to that transformation? And then giving a little bit more about post the click. So you'll see in the revised ad, I haven't really changed around that format. Again, kind of the hero's journey ad format is something that really works really well. So I kind of just made changes to this ad without changing the overall framework of it, to really account for some of those Facebook compliance issues, to make it, to tone it down a little bit more, but to also kind of bring it to life so that the audience can really see and really visualize what some of the results might look like. So this is kind of where we get to the point, and there's kind of also additional, you'll see there's a bunch of sentences in here that I just thought weren't necessary. So again, one of the things that you should always do with your Facebook ad copy before you put it into Business Manager is really go line by line and say, okay, does this line specifically help me connect with my audience, and is it going to get me more conversions? And take that red felt pen and kind of draw through those lines, and take out sentences and see, does it impact the overall copy here? Does it impact the flow? We want it to really, the pace of the ad to go really quickly. So we want to make sure that there's no unnecessary words, language, sentences in there. So you can see in the revised ad how I kind of cut out a bunch of these sentences that I just thought really didn't add to the overall situation as we came through. Again, you can see how some of these extra words I took out as well. So anything like body shame, extra weight, low energy, poor libido, depression, and acne. This is one of the sentences I took out because there's a lot of trigger words in there that Facebook doesn't like. So there's no real reason to keep it in there. It's not going to lead to higher conversions. It's one of the ones that I took out along the way. And here's how we kind of get into the unique formula, unique mechanism. My satisfaction switch was turned off. So again, that raises some curiosity. I like how you have something in there that kind of is the difference between them having additional weight and on the other side what that transformation is. So it raises some curiosity of like, okay, what's that satisfaction switch? And you can answer that either in the Facebook ad copy or on the landing page or the sales page. But we want to give them a little bit more a little bit more, tease out more of that solution as we go down the ad. And I'll show you how I did that a little bit further down. And here's where, she kind of gets into the transformation. I stopped counting calories. I went from working out 2 hours a day to just a total of 3 hours a week. The weight melted off effortlessly, and I was finally happy. Naturally, I was surprised at my own results. So I did this beta group. So again, here's where we're kind of introducing some proof there. So she went around to her friends, and she was able to get some results among various different people. And finally, this is where she kind of led to the free online workshop here, and kind of went through all the various different things that were that you'll get out of it. So kind of bullet points. You'll see in my revised ad how I just added a little bit more detail here and just tried to remove some of those words, especially that you verbiage, but also some certain words in there to make it a little bit more compliant. So that's kind of the ad that we were revising. So let's go to kind of the track changes that I made along the way. So in that first line, I really took away kind of that first line, the busy moms hate dieting. Again, I don't want to call out the audience. I don't want to try and sell in those first few lines. I don't want to say something like I struggled with the muffin top just like you. I want to really bring it to life for the audience and really catch their attention and really get them thinking about what they're going through right now. So this is a little bit more tangible example, but like my belly used to flop over my waistline when I buttoned my jeans. Most days I was completely exhausted trying to keep up with the kids. Keeping up with the kids became an everyday struggle. I tried everything to lose the extra pounds, but nothing worked. So again, like even something as simple as losing the extra pounds is something that Facebook could flag. So again, I might have to revise that language even more to keep my CPMs down. But again, anything like losing weight, losing pounds, so you just have to kind of be really, try out different words around slimming down along the way to get to the point where your ad, not only gets approved, but the CPM is low enough that there's no compliance issues as you go through. And again, it's something that is a moving target along the way. You're always going to have, especially within the weight loss, but also the health space, you're going to have these compliance things that even as your ads are running, you're going to have to make revisions to keep up with the latest compliance rules, and taking a look at your data to see if is the compliance changing, so that I have to make additional changes. So I kind of start out with that, really connect with them in terms of like really showing what a muffin top or a spare tire might, what that might actually in reality look like or feel like in terms of that energy and in terms of what's happening there. And then you get to the point where it's, I resigned myself to wearing baggy clothes to hide my stomach. So I didn't really change too much there, despite the 7 million hours of cardio like that I was doing on a weekly basis. So I'm kind of just amping up, inserting a little bit of humor there in terms of like adding 7 million hours of cardio that you're doing, but not really seeing results. And then I kind of just took away, things like, the fat burning pills. So I just changed it to pills. Could be, take away, even taking away things like diet. I could take away just to reduce my compliance exposure. I could call waist trimmer something different, just to kind of lower my compliance as well. You can see how I kind of took out some of these things. So I took out the word gimmicky. I took away weight loss, just to kind of make it a little bit more compliant. Counting points, macros, calories, and ordering a salad at every restaurant, only to come home and see the number on the scale had gone up. So again, you're kind of just, in that first part of the ad, what we're trying to do is really connect with our audience and say like, okay, I've been in your shoes before without actually saying that, but just really, sharing an experience of kind of frustration to let them know, yeah, I've been in your shoes before. And then we get into kind of the transformation. Again, you can see how I cut out a bunch of lines here. That was all about, again, we've gotten to the point where we've kind of already shared the experiences, shared the frustrations. You don't have to continue to harp on it. So I cut out a bunch of lines here. And this is where we kind of get into the transformation. It was only after I discovered that my satisfaction switch was turned off that everything changed. So here in the ad, I'm making that transition to what's next. Like, how has my life changed? I'm not really describing what that satisfaction switch is or really getting into that right now. I'm going to do that a little bit further down in the ad. But for right now, I'm just describing like that outcome that she was able to achieve. So once I figured out how to flip it back on, I stopped counting calories. I went from working out for 2 hours a day to a total of 3 hours a week. The pounds melted off effortlessly. I was finally happy and back to wearing bikinis with confidence. My skinny jeans finally fit again. Naturally, I thought my results were a complete fluke. So that's where we bring in the proof again. So I had a group of my friends flip the switch to see if it would work for them too. And to my surprise, it worked for most of them, including a couple of different examples. So my mama friends who were postpartum, those with thyroid issues, and those tried everything to slim down with little to show for their efforts. I knew that I was onto something, and since then I've been able to help 750 women in just this year alone. So again, that's kind of an important proof point. So like even before we get into like what is this satisfaction switch, what does it mean? We want to provide proof point that it's actually people have seen results doing it. So that kind of raises curiosity. And this is where I kind of started to introduce. So instead of introducing Janet in that first line, after I've provided some proof, after I've connected with the audience with her experience, after I've talked about that transformation, this is where I bring in Janet. That's where I say, hi, I'm Janet, the creator of the Simply Slim system. What you may not realize is your body doesn't actually tell what you might not realize is your belly doesn't actually tell your body it's full, your brain does. So this kind of goes back to that satisfaction switch. That's all really about the brain more than your body, and kind of making that, being aware of that kind of makes all the difference. Again, I don't give everything away within the ad. I want to leave that curiosity there to get them to that sales page or landing page. And really talking about with that simple realization, I was able to tap into my body's innate wisdom and finally make friends with my food. So again, that's I don't really describe what that satisfaction switch is. I leave a lot of that for the landing page and the sales page, which is really what you should think about from a Facebook ad perspective. Like, how much are you actually disclosing there versus leaving some curiosity to go to the other side. For this one, I'm really talking about how I want to really just share this discovery, and I'm going to share it inside a free online workshop. And then you can see here how I added some of, again, I just made some, some additional comments here. Fastest way to lose stubborn fat on the tummy, thighs, and upper arms in a matter of days. Again, even saying things like losing stubborn fat, that's kind of on the borderline of Facebook compliance. So you want to, again, be creative in terms of what other additional words can we use instead of weight loss, instead of fat, in terms of those things that really tie into what your audience's language is doing to kind of keep yourself safe and make sure that there's no Facebook compliance issues. Even things like restricting calories and dieting can often backfire. Again, that's kind of on the borderline of compliance. So we want to make sure that we are using the right verbiage or just kind of revising the language to avoid some of that language as we go along. Plus the best path to feeling fit and fabulous without deprivation. Things like how women are speeding up their metabolism, so it starts working in their favor by switching off this fat storing hormone. So again, that kind of goes into some of that satisfaction switch and kind of ramping up that curiosity as well. And then there's a couple other sentences as well. Surprising new ways to drop unwanted pounds. Again, unwanted pounds is kind of on the borderline of Facebook compliance as well. So might want to tighten up this language as much as possible, but that's what I have right now. And then ultimately goes to this online workshop that we're trying to do. So, that is kind of the idea. You can see how, again, even in the revised language, there's certain language that I would put out there and see what the CPM looks like. Even if it does get approved, I want to make sure I take a look at things like I'm definitely not going to have weight loss as a combination of words anywhere within my Facebook ad language, but even something that looks similar to that, losing pounds, or even things like putting any kind of claims out there. So again, you think about that headline that we had at the top there, how to lose 20 pounds in 8 weeks. We can't make any of those claims from a Facebook ad perspective, but also realize you can't put that on your landing page or sales page. Whatever page that you're linking to is also part of the Facebook compliance rules. So you have to really tone down the language, not only within the ad, but on those subsequent pages, because Facebook is going to look at both of those. And, over time, as you run more and more ads, you're going to get a sense for what words can I use that are not going to have compliance issues. And again, it's kind of a moving target. So even if you're using words within your ads today, next week or next month or whatever it is, as Facebook ad compliance continues to evolve, those might be times where, as your CPM goes up or taking a look at your data, you're seeing that you're having some compliance issues. That's where you might have to revise some of the verbiage again to make sure that you're falling within Facebook compliance rules, not having any issues around your ad account being closed or anything like that. So I just wanted to use this as an example to kind of walk through some of those key words, but also in terms of the promises and everything else that you can go out there. And, some of the things that I was thinking about, especially as kind of revising this ads that I was, putting forward. So, health, but in particular, weight loss is one of those spaces where there's a lot of Facebook ad compliance. You have to be careful on what words you're using, but it's really helpful in terms of how do you find those new words that are really going to help really connect with your audience. Obviously, go out to your happy clients, ask for video testimonials, ask them to share their stories. That's where you're going to get those specific words that are really going to resonate with them. That aren't going to say things like weight loss or losing pounds or things like that are going to get you in trouble. Your audience will give you that specific language that will help kind of resonate with them and let them know they're in the right place. So definitely, as much as possible, use your audience's own language within certain parameters to make sure that you're staying clear of Facebook ad compliance. And again, one of the things that you should always recognize is anytime you get your ad denied for whatever reason, take that as a sign that we have to tone down our language even more. If your CPM is above 25 or so, that's where take that as a sign that you're on the borderline, even though your ad got accepted, that you're on the borderline of Facebook compliance. You want to tone down that language, not only within that ad, but in the landing page. And again, you'll get a better sense of, as you run more ads, what is possible to put out there. Take a look at what your competition is using. Again, that's not to say that whatever Facebook ads are out there and are running are perfectly compliant, because you will have competitors that have ads running that have words that you can't use today. It just means that Facebook compliance hasn't caught up with them yet. So don't take everything that your competitors have out there as carte blanche of what you can use, but take use some of their ads as inspiration for some of the approaches that are working within your space, and how that could potentially get you different angles in terms of what for this ad in particular. We kind of used that hero's journey type story, where we started out kind of connecting with them at where they are right now, and then getting to the point and talking about that transformation, and kind of teasing out some of that curiosity around that unique mechanism or unique formula. But really think about how you can really connect with your audience. There's other frameworks that we'll talk about in future lives that I'll go through. They're a little bit shorter in nature that you can really come through. I think definitely with a weight loss coach, one of the key things to really think about is like, what is your unique mechanism? What is that unique formula that you have that your audience has never seen before? Or maybe just part of an education process of like, okay, what are some of those problems, or what's that one issue that might be holding back your weight loss that is potentially holding you back from seeing results? And if you can provide some education around that, that can be a key way to develop some curiosity, but also get more attention and more clicks to the other side of your page. So hope that was helpful. Let me know in the comments below, what were some of the most recent compliance issues that you've been having? Like what has happened maybe in terms of rejected ads, or in terms of some of the words that you have used that have been flagged by Facebook. It would be great to have a conversation there to see what is working and what isn't, especially within the health space, but also the weight loss space. And definitely check out my opt-in fullcomplianceads.com. Compliance is something that I cover within that program, but also in terms of managing your ads, but also writing compliant copy that connects with your audience as well in my 5-step process. So fullconfidenceads.com. Hit that like button on whatever platform you're on right now, and I'll see you in a future live.